When the first Godzilla film hit the screen all the way back in 1954 in Japan, it made a whopping $2.25 million at the box office. It was then released worldwide, after which it made a further $2.5 million. Now, that amount may not seem so good today, but then we're talking about the 1950s here. So yeah, that was quite a lot during those times. The Big G story was a huge success and even critically acclaimed by many, which is why ever since the first release, the franchise has managed to produce 36 films in total. Yes, my dudes, 36. Now that's 32 from Toho and 4 from Hollywood. And with the 37th film, Godzilla vs. Kong, just around the corner, and even expected by many to become the highest grossing movie of the Godzilla franchise, let's take a look at the top 10 highest grossing Godzilla movies so far. Number 10. Godzilla 2000 Millennium, 1999. $27,924,063. So this film is actually the first film of the Millennium series and also the 23rd film of the franchise. It made about $14.5 million in Japan and the rest worldwide. Now, the film itself is far from perfect, but there's no movie that's perfect. So for the good part, the Godzilla scenes were pretty amazing, and more importantly, it features one of the most powerful incarnations of Papa Goji in existence. As for the pretty average bits, the human characters are pretty bland, as is the case for most monster movies in general, and the storyline has some shaky bits. Although other than that, this is one solid film. A must-watch for all Goji fans. Number 9. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, 1993. $31,100,000. The 20th Godzilla film and the 5th in the Heisei series, the second Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla film, is a bit of a mixed bag still. Although Toho probably won't complain much because they sure got some heavy profits with the film, it's just good business, you know? Nonetheless, this movie actually features one of Big G's most formidable enemies, Mechagodzilla. Or should I say, Super Mechagodzilla. Also, let's just read what the Japanese tagline about the film has to say. In this battle, everything will end. The birth of the end of the century tyrant. Everyone was waiting for this fight. The greatest battle in history of the three giants over Baby G is about to begin. Okay, at least the tagline does more justice to the box office grossings, including Super Mecha G, of course. Number 8. Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, 1994. $32 million. Now, this movie is actually as straightforward as a Godzilla movie gets, which is perhaps why it did so well in the box office. I mean, it clearly isn't the best among Godzilla films, but then what makes it so good is that it lacks some of the frustrating aspects of the lower tier movies. You know, this just proves that sometimes not being constantly boring is just as important as being constantly great. You know, maybe even MonsterVerse needs to follow this same formula if they want to expand the horizons of the Kaiju cinematic universe. Number 7. Godzilla vs. Mothra, 1992. $33,900,000. You know, I'd have to admit that the bug got top billing, but we all know who the real star is. Oh wait, there are actually 2 of those bugs here. Oh good, that's Mothra and the other pretty evil in Batra. Now that's a pretty smart move that the folks in Toho did. But you know what's even smarter? Well, the movie itself combines the narrative structure of Mothra vs. Godzilla, 1964, with the adventure-themed aspects of a Steven Spielberg movie. And the outcome was a pretty decent movie that attracted a lot of moviegoers worldwide. Number 6. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, 1974. $34,122,958. So the first Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla film is probably the most notable early entry after the original movie in 1954 to deliver something interesting. I mean, it's up there with the best of Godzilla films and is a proper S-tier Godzilla film. Well, at least according to me. The box office stats say it all. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla not only introduced the metallic cyborg version of Godzilla, but King Caesar as well. The film itself sets a high bar for other films to follow. For instance, not only does it increase the monsters, battles, and general insanity for the plot, but it also makes use of many other popular sci-fi elements. To put it simply, if you haven't watched it yet, it's a must-watch. Number 5. Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, 1995, $42 million. Now, this film right here is like a proper Godzilla Endgame film. It's easily one of the best Godzilla movies of all time, and is actually just the second movie where the King of the Monsters dies. His death was pretty symbolic too, because the death of a monster of such magnitude lay claim to the fact that even the most indestructible monsters can't really escape death, not even Godzilla. And this led to the entire world taking notice of the monster that was not really so popular outside of Japan back then, and with the tagline, "Godzilla dies." Although the big guy definitely didn't go down quietly and rather left with a bang, even at the box office. Number 4. Shin Godzilla, 2016, $155,108,098. You probably knew that you'd find this around here. I mean, it was such an amazing film, and for a Toho film, this is by far one of the most popular films in recent times. Also, Shin Godzilla is not just a remake of the 1954 Godzilla, but a resurgence of what the original creature represented more than 60 years ago. Fear. I mean, just watching this creature transform from goofy but dangerous into its final form is one of the most terrifying aspects of Shin Godzilla. Dread, devastation, and utter hopelessness are merely a few words that can be used to describe the horror that is Shin Godzilla, a creature with one purpose: humanity's annihilation. And it clearly annihilated the grossings chart in the process. Number 3. Godzilla 1998, $379,014,861. The TriStar Godzilla was many things, most of them bad, but it turns out this wasn't really a terrible Godzilla movie. You may remember the film as both being terrible and being a box office disaster. But then, was it really a disaster? Even after being in the top 3 highest grossing charts? Well, the answer to that is yes and no. Yes, because back in 1998, it was surely considered as a flop and even trashed critically. And no, simply because with the numbers it had in 1998, especially when adjusted for inflation, Godzilla would be a hit by today's standards. Maybe Zilla wasn't so bad after all. Number 2. Godzilla King of the Monsters, 2019, $386,600,138. Now, this is not a perfect movie. It's actually far from that. But its errors fall mainly under the heading of failing to get out of its own way, and its imperfections are compensated by magnificence. The introduction of a wide range of amazing new kaiju and over-the-top monster action with stunning visual brilliance was simply enough to romp in moviegoers to watch the film. But then the reception it got later on wasn't the best. With all that being said, purely at the level of craft, this is a frequently astounding movie, a succession of miracles and cursed disasters, unfurled on screen with dazzling showmanship and overscale grace notes. Number 1. Godzilla, 2014, $529,076,069. Yes, you heard that right, my dudes. The first chapter in the MonsterVerse era was easily the film which was received by most Goji fans. I mean, it was quite good, to be honest, apart from the first half being a tad bit on the slower side, but the special effects, man, simply marvelous. And how can we forget the amazing duo of the Mutos and the introduction of Papa Goji in all his glory? The highest grossing Godzilla film till date actually comes with a great story, an amazing cast and performances, good characters, a consistent tone, fantastic music, and of course, over-the-top monster action. Also, the roar of the Big G in this film is easily enough to grab a few million by itself. So that that was all for today's video, folks. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and do check out our previous videos too. You're watching Factholic. This is your host, Scott Leffler, signing off for now. Peace.